This podcast is protected under the laws of the United States and other countries. Unauthorized duplication, distribution, or exhibition may result in civil liability, criminal prosecution, and the wrath of the tall man.
Boy! Hey, let's talk about you, the ID10T community events at ID10T.com, like Russ Stevens, a.k.a. Cool Movies Darth, who has started a podcast called 90 for Chill, which Russ says is dedicated to movies with a runtime between 74 and 99 minutes, the time frame that I feel is ideal. Russ, I could not agree with you more. That is a fantastic idea. Russ goes on to say there are times you need a cinematic fix but don't have time for the latest Scorsese masterpiece or offering from a comic book universe. There's also times when you need a conclusion to prevent a binge costing you a whole night. My guests and I try to follow these guidelines as we chat up features that are definitely worth your time and are beyond easy to make time for. 90 for Chill, the podcast, can be found on all major podcast platforms at 90forchill.com, and that's spelling out 90, N-I-N-E-T-Y, 4 F-O-R, chill. So there you go. Thank you so much for sharing, Russ. Really great idea for a podcast. Events at ID10T.com for everyone else.
Little Hand says it's time to rock and roll.
Bring the noise.
Hello, everyone. It's time to play a game. You all pretended to cure me, but what I have planned for each of you is very real.
Peace came upon me. No light, no sound.
The only thing I have not provided is your anesthetic. But trust me, you will want to remain alert.
Out of all the men to cheat, you picked John Kramer?
Please, don't hesitate. Place a big enough piece of your cerebral tissue into the glass enzyme tank. This will save your life.
So sleep, silent don't you sleep.
This is not retribution. It's a reawakening. Live or die. The choice is yours.
Welcome to this memento-style episode of 90 for Chill, the podcast with Cat Bus Russ. This is your host, Cat Bus Russ. And if you want to get an idea of what might be on the show next, you can follow me on Letterboxd. My username there is CM Darth. That's C as in cool, M as in movies, Darth as in a Sith Lord. And if you want to fill your house with my dulcet tones, you can ask your Amazon Echo or Google Nest device to play 90 for Chill, the podcast. And I think that will get you there. It's kind of weird since I have two feeds, and it's kind of like, well, I'm trying to establish the Cat Bus Russ title as a brand, in a sense, I guess, as an artist, I should say. That's the word I'm looking for. I'm working on it, but yeah, so we are finally gotten around, I think, to the episode I was kind of trying to make last week. I know, I'm sorry that I don't have a guest this week, but I've got two lined up, actually three, but that's going to be a separate one. And hey, with spooky season, I'm definitely looking for guests, and if you want to talk scary movies, that's what I'm looking for. I can make anything work, and heck, I got a hell of a task ahead of me, it looks like, for next week's episode. So that's what's going on right now, but as I say, memento style. So I am going to put in basically a couple of reviews after this one for movies that I was kind of building towards getting to this feature, which this feature is going to be Saw X. I guess we're going to call it X now that I think about Elon frickin' Musk. Saw Twitter. No. We'll call it Saw 10. And basically my plan last week was, I'll do an Expendables, I'll do an original, it was about Expendables 4, obviously, and the idea was, well, I got to see Hellraiser 3 over the weekend. I wanted to get pumped for Expendables 4, so I watched the Expendables 2, and yeah, it just, when Unleashed was my DVD from Netflix, second to last DVD, I think. My last DVD officially is John Dies at the End, and I had a great episode with Kodiak Thompson about that, where we talked about all things Don Coscarelli. Well, all things under 100 minutes from Don Coscarelli, which is most of his filmography. Sorry about the Beastmaster not making that cut. But, yeah, just a little too long, a little too epic. And I guess that's what I was worried about with Saw X. And I'm not gonna. There seemed like I really wanted, like, these are night. So with the exception of Saw 3, they're all 100-minute movies at the most. So when I saw this is nearly a 2-hour runtime, which it definitely didn't feel like it. So maybe IMDb screwed that one up. I was kind of like, oh great, Saw 3, my least. The Saw I just can't enjoy. Was a nearly 2 hours, and that was supposed to conclude the series. And so I was a little bit worried, but I think it all paid off. I think I could have done a little messing around the exposition to make it a little shorter, tighter. But I think it ends up paying off where you want it to pay off. It just takes a little while to get going. It's not like, the first Saw movie. It was, you throw our victims right in the opening of the movie. And this one is about John Kramer. Basically, Saw 10 has gotten to the point where, in this franchise finally, and maybe we should have thought about this all the way back after Saw. Well, I guess they didn't really fit it in. I guess this should have been Saw 3, essentially. I don't know. Maybe we needed another movie. Maybe we didn't. But we've come to the point where we want to cheer on Saw. I guess not to say that we came to that point. It's just like, well, what can we do to amuse our audience? And after 9 movies, only 8 if you discount Spiral from the Book of Saw, which I've also done a podcast about, you get to, we're there to see the traps, essentially. That's 5 through Jigsaw, and, it's like, but we need Tobin Bell as John Kramer, aka Jigsaw, to keep us in tune. And with that, so basically, as I say, this is a movie where John Kramer is the hero, the protagonist. He goes to Mexico City after being told by somebody who said he found a doctor who could cure his cancer. He went to Norway to do it, but this doctor's not getting approved because Big Pharma. So, man, now that I bring that up, it's kind of like, well, good message on this one. Just like Saw 6 is about the healthcare system, which is one of my favorites of the Saw series. So instead of Norway, he finds this group in Mexico City. And like, you watch the trailers, they put in different scenes like, well, he goes to Mexico City, he comes back home and finds out, oh, they didn't do any surgery on him, so he still has a brain tumor. With that said, this movie, it's just basically, he figures it out right away. And he goes, and I think this might be the first movie with 2 trap survivors from individual games, I should say. And, I think, you had Saw 5 and Saw 7, the final chapter. So there's, so I guess, kind of don't feel too bad for Kramer that much in this one. But immediately, once he finds out he isn't cured, He tracks down the first contact he had and gets the names he's looking for, and is able to call Amanda in to help him set things right, straighten these peoples out. And you actually get a possible antagonist for sequels in this feature, which is a good bit of fun. I guess 3 survivors, if you technically, but oh great, may have spoiled it. But it's fun in the sense that, at least from the actor standpoint, they get the band back together. Shawnee Smith, and I'll leave it there. No Carrie Ellis. I guess I could have probably thrown a guess out for some other person. But yeah, it's fun to see the old faces and being used very well in this one, which is something I think Saw 3 screwed up with the Amanda character. So, little redemption. I guess I'm just in the really old problem I have with getting the band back together is there's just actors who age, sadly. So, this is going to be set, I believe, after Saw 2. And with that, it's been 18 years since then. And Shawnee Smith was in her late 30s at the very least then. So, yeah, I don't mean to sound cruel like that. It goes back to Clerks 3. It's like, I think Clerks 3 is a great movie, nearly perfect. Well, I wouldn't say nearly perfect, because Kevin Smith is not the director we want him to be. At least not with Clerks. His horror movies, give those a go. I would even say Yoga Hosers is a pretty solidly directed feature. Clerks 3 is very well directed, but he decides to just, instead of reshooting everything from Clerks with older people, he just decides in the end to I'm just going to use the actual movie Clerks to do that. If that gets the rights out of the Weinstein's family, fine. Okay, so that's one flaw. I went over the exposition could have been a lot tighter. But I think the director in this time, Kevin Greer, who directed, I believe he directed 6 and 7, the final chapter, Saw 3D. I think he really calmed down and improved as a director in this one. You don't have the frantic cuts you get making, like, panic must be explained by fast cuts. Constant. You do get some, but nothing excessive. You're almost waiting for, when am I going to see that in these torture scenes? And you don't really get them as much as it honestly comes out when more that John Kramer's own individual battle with trying to come to terms with, he is definitely going to die now. And good work on the continuity. You got Windows and NT, I think it was, a computer that John's working on. You got Blackberries. So that was so they paid attention to this. They really went out their way to make this one for the fans. As I say, getting the band back together and making John Kramer the hero. You want to see his vengeance in this movie. And technically not vengeance. He's just trying to help these people out, make better decisions. All you have to do is cut off a leg and extract some bone marrow or brain tissue, He's not, nothing you can't recover from. The only thing I get angry about is the timer. Like, I mean, do we have to make these games so frantic? 3 minutes to saw through your leg. And granted, there's a lot of ways. I mean, quit your bitching, after that's been a problem with the series, is like, after somebody goes through you watch somebody go through a painful game and then they still bitch about everything until they have to panic and get there and succeed in their game. So it was 3-minute clocks, not necessarily cool, but it's a great twist. I mean, I guess you can kind of see where the twists are kind of obvious, but you don't really think about the twist until like the last last port till the third act. How and you still endure the bloodboarding sequence, and it's great to put children at risk in this movie. Sorry, I mean, it's something Saw hasn't done aside from the first film. So, it tries to step over new lines, and I kind of dig it. And again, I was saying the direction was, I think this is the best directed feature Kevin Groot has done, especially in the Saw series. Like, he doesn't do the frantic cuts. He edited it, so maybe he was wise to that as well. And, besides not doing the frantic cuts, there's the, he just shoots the action, I guess is what I'm saying. He kind of Kevin Smiths it, or even John Carpenter's. It's like, frame the violence and go from there. And, not try to be fancy with it. Basically, you have a great story. And, with that said, you know what you're doing, you know what you want, and you show it. He didn't write this movie. I know the Saw 4 through the final chapter were all written by the team behind Feast. And there's weak points and strong points during those series, during those movies. 4 is kind of like resetting it, so that's kind of excusable. And I liked 5 for the first group game. And the writers, though, were the minds behind, at least who penned Jigsaw. So it kind of showed, Jigsaw. So it kind of shows you this movie is kind of what they were trying to do when they were attempting the soft reboot to the series with the 8th feature. But they didn't try to keep Jigsaw alive. So, we can do a bunch of, movies within this 2-month period, I think, that Kramer still has before the cancer will take him. And so we got a fun little point to go with if we want to make movies like that. But we are going to have to just accept we have to create a new idea. And maybe the way of doing it would have been, instead of playing to the fans, would be go back to Jigsaw. Like, okay, we already have our heroic apprentice, one that you're not angry at. Like we eventually do with Mark Hoffman, Costas Mandylor's character. So that's this is what I think Jigsaw 2 or Saw 9 was supposed to be. And we just went and corrected it so we can have more Tobin Bell. And probably a wise move, but it's only a temporary fix on this. It's a Band-Aid on the reverse bear trap head wound. I usually like to go with the Kennedy head wound, but I digress. So, yeah, solidly directed. The violence, the gore is nice. I will say that. And I guess with the games, I complain about the time. Like, I wouldn't bitch so much. So there's also an element of me, like there is a trap in a dream sequence. Not a dream sequence. A daydream sequence. And it's like, okay, why did this guy fail? All you had to do was, this is going to happen, so why don't I just do it all at once? All the actors are great. The antagonist, I guess there's something, like, maybe a little too cold by the end, but it's kind of like, eventually you have an element of like, well, she may have had an idea that she was dealing with Jigsaw, and now it's time to match wits. And I don't really think that... So maybe that was a little too extreme, but it makes her a great antagonist for future films. So how are we going to get there? I don't know, but there's potential. And hey, we might even have introduced a new apprentice to that one. The blood porting trap, could change anybody. So that is Saw X or Saw 10. And yeah, it's kind of disappointed at the frickin', and I don't know. I don't watch a lot of TV, so I don't know what the commercials are. And I guess YouTube thinks I'm not the target audience for the Paw Patrol. I didn't know they had a movie coming out this week. That's your number one at the box office. But this one outperformed the Expendables 4, so that's good for Lionsgate. Lionsgate plan their schedule well, so kudos to them. And yeah, this is another one I'll be picking up once the physical release happens. And with an $18 million take this weekend, and this film being shot entirely in Mexico City, which is weird because they got Canadian tax credits. Hey, I'm just reading the credits. We are ready. We can do it. We can have a Saw 11. Let's keep this thing going. There's plenty of fuel, and I think going back to the basics, like when you think about Spiral, Chris Rock, Samuel L. Jackson, trying to get big mainstream actors involved may have been a little too pricey a move, but now I think we've done the course correction needed finally. And as I say, let's get on to Saw 11. Otherwise, let me just wrap this up, and we'll get into Hellraiser 3 and Expendables 2, and we'll follow that up with the the final part of the equation. So this episode is Saw 10 equals Puppet Master 2 times the product? Oh, jeez, I don't know my math well. Okay, so Puppet Master 2 times the result of Hellraiser 3 Hell on Earth plus the Expendables 2. So X is 2 times the product of 3 plus 2. So there you go. Could have gone with the 23 angle, but we're in a month where we're going to have a Friday the 13th and Halloween, so I think we got enough scary stuff to chat about. With all of that said, if before we get on to that, let me go and wrap this all up then, at least the formality. And heck, I know, you guys may have only been here for Saw X opinion, so if you want to be a guest on the podcast, send an email to russthebus07@gmail.com. That's RUSSTHEBUS07@gmail.com. Offer me a movie, a theme, a director, an actor. Try to focus on movies between 70 and 100 minutes. I know, why are you talking about a 2-hour Jigsaw Saw movie? Well, when you make a golden movie like the original Saw and then Saw 2, and you do it for under 100 minutes, I think you earn the expansion of your franchise, your subject, your universe. Say if you have Amadeus, which I don't want to do in October. It's spooky season. With a little work, we can do that. Take different approaches to it, and I think we can get there. So we can do anything, but please, the show is about, even with the crazy stuff that I'll be doing this month, it is about the movies between 70 and 100 minutes. Email to russthebus07@gmail.com. That's RUSSTHEBUS07@gmail.com. And you can follow me on Twitter. My username there is @CatBusRuss. And you can follow me on Mastodon, where I'm creating a lot of great social contacts over there. I think that's the way to go. Threads is just a little too convoluted, at least to get signed up. Like, you have to have an Instagram. Well, I'm not going to... Main Event Zombie is not the brand right now, so I got to create a new Instagram. Yeah, it gets confusing, but you can follow me on Mastodon. My username there is @RussStevens @mastodon.social. Otherwise, thank you, Ava, for just being a fun little animal, giving me them scratches while I'm trying to record a podcast. But let me thank Stacia Harden for keeping an eye on me. Keeping me motivated. I mean, she's somebody who I want to pay tribute to as much as I can. She keeps motivating me to do that. I hope that, she's doing great with Skimbleshanks, the one-eared angel. I think that's an amusing little kitty that she's probably having a ball getting to play around with up there in the afterlife. And I hope she's still helping out everybody she touched in her life. So... thanks, Stacia. Thank you for checking out the show. Rate and subscribe on your favorite podcast apps. 5-star reviews, please. And be as honest as you want in the wording. I'm only worried about the algorithm. And I do take criticism better than most. So, thanks again, and have yourselves a great week.
In Hellraiser 1, Clive Barker showed you his vision of a private hell. Hellraiser 2, he took you on a journey inside the Inferno. Now, the terror returns in mankind's final confrontation with evil. And this time, it's going to be hell on earth.
Great club. I really love it here. It's a great club.
Jesus Christ. Not quite.
Just give me the box. Ready for your close-up?
We're going to hell.
Ladies first. Relax, baby. This is better than sex.
It's so good to be back. Clive Barker presents Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth.
So I've just had quite the movie marathon tonight. So it is currently Sunday morning of the 24th. Yep. Sorry, I can get lost between two jobs and this podcast. I digress. So, as I said, had quite the movie marathon. Started with my good friends Hannah and Isabel catching up on Hellraiser franchise. We got through the first two. The first one we watched outside, and man, it's getting a lot colder quicker. So, and took it inside and watched Hellraiser 2 on a little screen, and by the end of it, party of 6 went down to 3, and we watched Hellraiser 3, and it's a interesting movie. I would say there's a lot of money spent for a horror movie in the early 90s, honestly, with the, since we're still in the practical effects era. I mean, there was some lousy CGI. I mean, this was before Jurassic Park, if I'm correct. I remember my cousin Aubrey had seen the movie on HBO. She had little laissez-faire parents, I guess. I would say that, you always have that redneck uncle at some point in your life. And, so she saw that like on HBO or something. Fascinated by the the villain using CDs, the Cenobite using CDs. When it comes to the Cenobites, Isabel pointed out that somebody reviewed it and said these were the Cenobites looked like not ready for Star Trek First Contact Borg, and I would say they weren't ready for TNG, the Next Generation. So it's an interesting mixed bag of I guess you'd say quality. Like, as I say, there's some weak makeup effects with great ideas for Cenobites. The horror isn't really shot well, but just because the chaos surrounding it. But once you get through that, once you get to, and here's a set piece, let's, wrap a head in barbed wire, or the CD deaths, or hit Pinhead turning into ice to then impale a woman through a skull. It's just fun imagery, which I think kind of makes it worthwhile. But again, it's like, dang, they spent a lot of money trying to make Pinhead the movie, which is essentially what Hellraiser 3 is. So I've already talked about Hellraiser and Hellbound Hellraiser 2 on the podcast. Yeah, granted, a couple years ago, but I digress. And it's as I say, this is supposed to be Pinhead the movie, and that is the redeeming quality of the feature, because they really let Pinhead become something. Like, give him real personality instead of the stoic. So in a sense, they kind of turned a Michael Myers slash Jason Voorhees into a Freddy Krueger. When you look at the early 90s and 90s horror in general, until we got Ghostface, and that's really a concept, I can't say that we had a Freddy Krueger type. So it's fun to see that develop. So it's a story about the puzzle box ending up in the hands of the douchiest early 90s New York club owner with a dark past and a reporter who's just trying to get a great story, witnessing a person being dragged into an ER, being stretched apart by chains, and eventually having the head explode. Not Scanners quality, but, fun for the time. Still mostly practical. So, and as I say, I say, oh, the great practical effects, but then, we try our best. They try their best to, we have a time cop scenario at one point. So the reporter eventually gets a hold of the box, and in the meantime, the box originally was attached to a statue that we see at the end of Hellraiser 2, purchased by the douchebag club owner. So inside that, you have the spirit of Pinhead, and he's just looking for a way to get out of that and stay the hell out of hell. So, as I said, the visual effects, once you get to some good set pieces, are fun, but otherwise pretty ridiculous, and with the money that had to have been spent, it's kind of crazy. But and clever enough ending, so they knew, okay, we got Pinhead. If this movie works, we have a franchise. And Isabel said she had seen all of the Hellraiser movies, so it's got to be something, I guess. But it's cool to see Doug Bradley just get the cut loose. It gives a great performance as Pinhead, and Pinhead's original World War I veteran. And there's just a weird mix of 90s. Never mind what the fashion was at the time. At least it's not all Aquanet hair like Hellraiser. But the music is a weird. You get a moment like, oh, that sounds like the Jesus and the Mary Chain. Now there's some hair metal stuff. But then this techno track. It kind of feels like it may have been released a soundtrack. I guess they were going to make money from that movie somehow. But it's a silly movie. But, as I say, getting Pinhead, creating a real character out of him, a more three-dimensional character out of him, was a lot of fun. So if you like, I can't say if you like Hellraiser and you like Hellbound, Hellraiser 2, you're going to like Hellraiser 3. You're just going to accept that this is a gimmicky, sloppy, money grab horror movie. And judging that, I love those eras where every year we got a Saw movie. You got to accept it for what it is. And I think it's, I had a good time, but could have also just been watching it with some good friends and riffing the hell out of it. So that would be Hellraiser 3 Hell World, I think it was. Oh, geez, I gotta check IMDb. So many subtitles. I think number 4 is Inferno. Let me see. Hellraiser 3. Oh, Hellraiser 3 Hell on Earth. So I think Hell World is the one with Henry Cavill and Lance Henriksen, which I know the Cinema Snob's done it to watch that video, but it's kind of like, I gotta see. It's Lance Henriksen, and I think it's still Doug Bradley. So, for a future date. And the next feature, I got home from Ogden, or was it Homer? That's Illinois. A lot of gravel road. And decided to get myself kind of prepped for Expendables 4, which is kind of the reason why I wasn't really pushing for guests this week. And next week's Saw X. So September's my month, I suppose. So I hope to get out to see how the Expendables 4 tomorrow, or today, I guess officially. But let's go. So I went back to the Expendables 2, which is the most fun, I think, of the franchise. So I'm not going to say it's got the best action sequences. I think you might have to go with the original for that. The Jet Li Dolph Lundgren fight. I get in a lot better, a lot more fun with the henchmen. Your Gary Daniels, your Steve Austin's. It just I like to see those. I really wish we, do we have to waste them and not get them in the next movie? Like Gary Daniels doesn't get that, doesn't get to do A-list movies. But I digress. And so the Expendables 2, it was made the quickest after the first one, I think 2012. I'm going to double check that. The Expendables 2. 2012, yeah, and I think it was 2014 for still the peak of Rondomania for the third one. So this is just a fun movie. That's really all you can say about it. I think it has the most gore-rific moments, but it's the crew, it's the Expendables being Sylvester Stallone, Jet Li, Dolph Lundgren, Terry Crews, Randy Couture, and they introduce briefly Liam Hemsworth, and I think it was dang it. I got the search queue going. Oh, come on. So and a Chinese actress who I think's primarily doing her work in China, and we know how that relationship goes. So Nan Yu. So Nan Yu is Bruce Willis assigns Nan Yu to accompany the Expendables to find to recover a computer from a crashed plane that has the blueprint to a mine that the Soviets left with 5 tons of plutonium. And Jean-Claude Van Damme and Scott Adkins, so immediately smaller villain lineup. But Jean-Claude Van Damme is named Villain. Silly little joke. And Scott Adkins is his sidekick. They go and get the blueprint and kill Liam Hemsworth, so it's a story of vengeance. And there's a few standout action sequences. I like the knife fight that Jason Statham starts in in priest robes. But otherwise, this movie did not take itself seriously besides killing Liam Hemsworth. So it was it's got they use Chuck Norris as the Chuck Norris joke in this feature. And maybe it's just my politics. Chuck Norris, I think it was good for the one joke, and then it just gets cruel at some point. Like, I'm killing the lowest scum of the earth is his attitude, and it's like, dude, we want to see all the villains die, but I don't want to I don't know. Maybe I'm getting too soft. And of course, you got Bruce Willis and Arnold Schwarzenegger getting some more bits than they did in the first film. Of course, this is post gubernatorial Schwarzenegger. And the airport fight scene's fun, but, it's just like, I kind of want more of the gory action we had at the beginning. So it's kind of like you notice that let's get this gore in right now before we might have to tone things back. So it's a lot of fan service, basically. And I think that's what... I don't know if it's my favorite Expendables. I think the first one is the best. But, as I say, this is the most fun because it really does not take itself seriously for a moment if you really stop and think about it. Expendables 3, they go and... as is, expand it to a 2-hour feature. Like, there's 9 minutes of credits on the Expendables 2. So, okay, maybe it's only a 20-minute increase time-wise on the Expendables 3. But they're just spent too much time trying to make us care about young actors. Basically, they were just trying to set up the next movie to be released like 2 years late after that, instead of like, oh, nobody wanted to see this because it was PG-13, so we took out the gore, we took, and we're adding actors we really just don't care about. No offense, Ronda Rousey. I think, all flash in the pans, essentially. Sorry, I know. Dead air. Not good. Yeah, so the Expendables 3... I mean, you don't really even get any Jet Li or Schwarzenegger in that movie. Harrison Ford's just not violent enough. And, Mel Gibson's not gonna draw anybody in. Like, I guess Kellen Lutz... Ronda Rousey, Glenn Powell, Victor Ortiz, none of them really made it. But hey, you do get Robert Davey in a brief cameo, and again, another guy who's a political douchebag. But I digress. But yeah, we're trying to reset the series with the third one, and I just don't care about those actors. I will have to go and bring up on the podcast sometime the movie called Arena, not 1989 Arena, I think it's 2011 Arena, with Kellen Lutz and Samuel L. Jackson. I had fun watching that one, but it's pure cheese. So yeah, Expendables 2 is still a lot of fun. It's as I say, that is the popcorn movie. And, I guess that's kind of what Hellraiser 3 is. It's a popcorn movie. It's just fun. Not, little less thinking involved when it comes to the Expendables 2. But, Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth is really just fun, trying to make you wonder how they really are going to take the franchise. Throws a lot of stuff at the wall, and I don't think besides for Pinhead, I don't think anything else sticks. But it's a fun spectacle. So that's really what my movie marathon was about tonight. Well, Hellraiser and Hellbound Hellraiser 2, that's more just like... I wanted to see what other people reacted to it, because I think only 3 of us had seen the first 2 movies. And, yeah. So it's just great to get out there. I really should have just gone and forced a podcast right then with the last ladies standing. But, when we're coming up on 1 o'clock then, and now I'm coming up on 4 o'clock now. So I will see what goes on next. I'm planning to watch, basically what I'm going to do, or plan to do, is watch the first movie of a franchise, and then somehow tomorrow, and then I'll just go in and talk about I guess it's just Expendables, or Expendables. We have a lot of fun with horror movies when we have to try incorporating the number, I guess. So that is my plan, and I hope you'll stick around for those.
Hold on to your butts.
90 for Chill, the podcast, proudly presents to you Ali's Accessories Shop on Etsy's Trash Feature Review.
puppets of Andre Toulon. First, they made you smile. And then, they made you die. Blade, Pinhead, Jester, Leech Woman, and Tunneler. Now the show has begun again. And this time, their master is back from beyond the grave.
You brought me back.
And Andre Toulon is proud to present the newest addition to his terrifying troupe.
You may think you got the powers of hell on your side.
Torch. They thought they could unlock Toulon's secrets.
It's amazing.
But what these researchers have opened...
No one will escape.
We're all in danger as long as we remain in this house.
...is a Pandora's box of death.
Our work must be completed tonight. No more ghostly games, trick or treat.
Puppet Master 2. His unholy creations hold the strings to your life.
I know how to get into things.
So I've just completed watching Puppet Master 2 from 1991, a Full Moon's feature film with a story by, of course, Charles Band, and obviously a sequel to Puppet Master, which was I think it was kind of a charming horror movie. I mean, low-budget horror movie. I mean, I do dig the puppets, and I can see why. I believe, as I'm reading the back of the DVD box set I got from Allie, it says that, and then they start fighting off bad guys in the next movie. And I don't know if that carries on all the way through the rest of the franchise, but it leaves me curious enough to keep following it. So, with that said, it's a flawed film in many ways. I think they have a lot more fun with the puppets in this film. So this is a movie about a set of killer puppets from the first film who are trying to extend their life. So they have resurrected their puppet master who committed suicide in 1941 to avoid getting captured by the Nazis. And from there, our puppet master is looking to bring back his wife. So, wouldn't you know it, when they resurrect him, a group of paranoid United States Department of Paranormal Affairs visits the hotel from the first feature to try to see if there's anything to the events that the lone survivor speaks of as he's institutionalized. So it's an entirely new cast of characters outside of our puppets, and I would say that the exposition just drags this movie down. I mean, they made a good effort with it. They made a convincing Egypt to show us where we learned of the puppet master ability to bring life to inanimate objects, essentially. But aside from that, it's just kind of feels pointless. I mean, not pointless, it just drags. I mean, we get a great showdown with some rednecks against some of the puppets. We get cute little bits about how the puppets make mistakes by collecting animal brains to create their serum. And there is a fun showdown between a bratty little boy and Torch, the flame-throwing puppet, which I don't know if I needed to see the end result, but that little kid was annoying. So it's not, I mean, that's just it. There's just nothing to the characters. There's no I think that's just my biggest problem. Aside from, if we would have told the story completely from the Andre Toulon perspective, he's the puppet master, I think you'd have a more interesting movie. But we got to bring these people in, and we're supposed to care about these people, and there's just nothing unique about them. At least with the first film, you had so-called psychics as your characters, and really not involving Toulon, just the puppets witnessing a game accountant mouse another psychic is trying to play on our four protagonists. So yeah, it's a weak story, but again, the puppets are fun. I kind of love how they mix the visual mediums. Obviously, you have the stop motion with the puppets, but then there's definite bits where they're using hands from people to pull off the effects, but pulling out wide so it doesn't look like they're big old hands. And, I kind of think you might have seen some of this kind of effects used, say, in Team America World Police. So it's charming in that sense, but if you didn't see the first movie, or if you're not and I'll go back to that. So if you didn't see the first movie, you're not really going to get anything out of this movie, I think. As for the sequels after this, it kind of brings me back to Hellraiser 3. Essentially, I think the producers, there's a lot more drama I've heard about Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth, i.e. that they couldn't get the actress who played Julia back for it. So they, instead of making it about her, they made it about Pinhead. But the point of the matter is they wanted to keep using Pinhead. So, because he was so cool. And hence we get more of these Puppet Master movies, and we changed the perspective to make the antagonists the people we want to cheer for instead throughout the sequels. So more focus on the puppets. So it could be interesting, and I can't help but be curious. But again, watch the first one before you go and venture in on this one. So with all that said, I went to Allie's Accessory Shop on Etsy's Trash Features to pull this out for a weird equation. So we have Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth, The Expendables 2, and Puppet Master 2. What I'm trying to do here is a weird formula, i.e. I'm going to go and watch Saw X or Saw 10. Let's not, I don't know what people think. Well, I guess the Fast and the Furious set the standard now. So, okay. Saw X. So, I guess I could have made it, since it's not 10, I guess I could have made it about anything. But I'm trying to come up with an equation to equal 10. Right now we have Hellraiser 3 plus Expendables 2 in parentheses times Puppet Master 2, hence 10. So we'll see if this works out. I'm going to check out Saw X tomorrow. I'm going to see if I can get somebody lined up to chat about it. Not necessarily looking promising, and then but we got a lot of great things going on, at least on Mastodon, that I think we're going to have an interesting October otherwise. So, spooky month, here we come.
Can I hear a wahoo?